Woman slaps me, so manager asks her to leave and I still got my cat food. Early in the day, I was sent to the store to grab some cat food for the strays across the street. There are way too many of them and I don't want to come back for some time. So I decide to get a big bag, maybe 10 pounds or so, and of course it's on the highest shelf. So me being me, and not wanting to spend more time trying to find someone to help me, I just grab one of those big orange stair ladders further down from the cat food. I push it over to where I need it, climb up, and take the bag with me down, struggling just a bit but nonetheless, an easy task. Now, I take the ladder back down to where it was with the bag on it the whole time and start to walk away when I hear an, "Excuse me," still walking cause I don't think she's talking to me. When I hear loud running steps towards me, I turn around to a woman yelling in my face about how pretending to not hear me was not funny and you should help all customers even if you're busy. After she's done talking, I say I don't work here lady and turn back walking to go pay for my cat food, when she grabs me on my shirt and yanks me towards her face and even louder than before, she yells at me spitting in my face while she does. Now I'm very panicked because I don't like interacting with people, even having an older woman yelling in my face about getting me fired at a job I don't even have. Now she's making so much noise a guy walks over and tells her to chill when she says I want him to apologize to me for such bad manners and such. But the great thing is when I finally see who came to help me. I see my friend's dad who came to help me and I didn't even know he worked here for as long as I've been coming in here. I feel more calm knowing I'm in good hands, but still a bit frightened. That's when I quickly grab her hand and move it off me, and as I turn around to say something, she slaps me, and that's when my friend's dad says to her, "That's it, I will not tolerate any of this in my store. I'm sorry ma'am, but I will have to ask you to leave now." And trust me, when she hears him say that, she goes silent and grabs her shopping cart that she left somewhere when she first saw me, and came over to me. Now she's quit caring about whatever she wanted before and just goes to pay for her stuff. When she's finally up there, the following happens: "Ma'am, you have to leave. I'm sorry, but we will not be accepting any money for these and we just want you out of the store." As that's all happening, I just go to a self-checkout, and as I'm leaving the store, I hear what could only be described as a woman impersonating a tornado siren. Later on, my friend's dad says to me, "Anytime you need something, please get someone so this doesn't happen again." My friend's cousin complied with his cool family's demands. This happened a while back, maybe 3 to 4 years. My college friend told me about how his cousin basically screwed over his family by moving out when they told him to. Note, to make it easier to follow, I'm gonna use fake names. Cousin is Jack, cousin's sister is Tina, cousin's parents are Bob and Mary. So Jack is roughly 28 and still living with his parents, but he pays their bills, electricity, water, internet, etc., and this is a big 2-story house, so the bill is big too. His sister, 24, had left the house by then and gotten married to a guy that makes good money. She had taken credit for paying the bills and convinced Bob and Mary to kick him out because he's a shut-in loser because none of them understood his job. A bit of backstory on their parents: my friend tells me they're like those stereotypical teens in those cliché high school movies. Basically, they look down on nerds and think people who study hard are uncool, that type of thing. Anyway, they kept that mentality even after growing up and having kids, so they always looked down on Jack for being nerdy and favoritized Tina because she was pretty and popular in high school. But apparently, Jack didn't really care because his personal life had friends he cared about and he's connected more with his relatives. So they all confront him, and after bad-mouthing him about how he stays in his room mostly and how his sister, her husband and child need the space, told him he has till the end of the month to leave. This was done close to the first week. Jack didn't say a word, he just nodded and left by the end of that week and moved 3 cities away to a city closer to his other relatives. 2 months go by and his sister calls him asking why this month's bills weren't paid, as their lights and water had been shut off. He tells her that she should have paid them since she was allegedly paying them before. About a week goes by and he gets a call from his parents, explaining how his sister confessed to everything and how he can come back and have his old room back so long as he kept helping them pay the bills. He refused, saying he's enjoying living by himself now and how he can focus on his work more because he's away from them. Afterwards, he blocked their numbers and now they have to pay for it themselves. He doesn't know what happened after because they're no longer invited to family gatherings. Dealing with an entitled neighbor. Just flipping through a few stories and reading about entitled drivers getting their just desserts. This made me think back to my days as a paramedic. We got a call to a house where there was a bariatric patient who had fallen. The patient was morbidly obese and weighed around 30 stone or 420 pounds. This story isn't really about them though. There are many reasons people get to this size, and I've never judged, only helped. No, the problem here was a really arrogant neighbor we had come across before, and boy was this chap and judgmental man. Our patient had a car and had a disabled parking permit. They also had a council-designated disabled parking spot outside their home which the neighbor kept parking in. There had been a number of letters from the council regarding this, and a number of parking fines just served to annoy this chap even more. On the day of the story, I took the call that the patient had fallen and we went to the house. Sure enough, the neighbor was not only parked in the disabled spot but had parked a second car blocking access to the patient's driveway. I assessed the patient and suspected they had a broken hip, so needed to go in. I sent my colleague round to the neighbor to ask them to move the cars, and when they came back, I was told the neighbor had just told my colleague to do one. No problem, time to get the message home. I radioed through to our control center and asked for the fire service and police. We needed the fire service to help lift the guy and the police to do a little parking control. The fire service were the first to arrive, and I spoke to the crew commander to let them know what the situation was. A fireman went to the house to ask the neighbor to move the car and was told the same as my colleague. The message was relayed back, and the watch commander just asked me one question. Is the patient's life at risk? I knew exactly where this was going, and it was time our thoughtless neighbor got the message. My answer was yes, there is equipment I need to get into the house, and the driveway is blocked preventing me doing so. The watch commander told the fire truck driver to move those vehicles. It was really satisfying to see both vehicles being pushed down the road by the fire service, and the look on the neighbor's face as he came out spitting and screaming was well worth seeing. His complaints to the police fell on deaf ears. They were well aware of his history of obstruction, and my clinical assessment that the patient's life was in danger was more than enough justification for the vehicles to be moved. I doubt it made our patient's life any easier, and sadly they died a few months later without leaving hospital, but it really did bring a smile to their face as we wheeled them out. My husband is at the hospital right now with just a friend he told me not to worry about. She got into a car accident and is apparently pregnant with his child, which she might now lose. r/TrueOffMyChest. My husband, 37, has been friends with this woman Abigail, 24, for a little while. They both see the same trainer, so that's how they met. He invited her over our house for dinner. She met our children. When I brought up concerns about how they seemed to be getting very close very fast, he insisted that they were just friends and that I had nothing to worry about. After that conversation, his relationship with her seemed too settled down into no different than any other friendship he has, I thought. This morning, he got a phone call and he took it outside. When he came back in, he was really shaken. He said he was going to the ER because Abigail had gotten into a car accident. I asked why she was calling him. He said something about how her sister was on vacation and she got into a fight with her friend. It was complete, but he was out the door. I tried texting and calling him, but he didn't answer. I couldn't leave the house because our youngest is sick. He comes back hours later and tells me he needs to talk. He looks terrible. He admits to me he slept with Abigail. He said it only happened once when he was drinking and she got pregnant from it. He was going to tell me soon, he claimed. But now she got into a semi-serious car accident and they don't know if the baby is going to survive. And he's a wreck about it. I want to slap him for cheating. I'm disgusted by him. I kicked him out. I don't care if he stays at the hospital or with his brother or in a ditch. I'm so mad at him for 1,000 reasons. That's it for today's story time. Enjoy the rest of the video.